Samuel, good evening and welcome to News in Focus Live on Radio Al-Ansar International.
Thank you, Yunus, and good evening to the listeners on a nice, nippy Wednesday evening. Thank you very much for the invite again, and I think it'll be a good show. Thanks for the nishad. It was quite good. I enjoyed it.
Okay. Now, Samuel, I went through a couple of different scenarios regarding M. Kwanazi. On the one side, there's an inquest, there's an acting Minister of Police. He's demanding certain action. He's supposedly a straight guy. The ANC is responding and saying, we can't find somebody guilty until we investigate both sides of the sort of situation. You know, when an allegation is made, you'll have to find out the other party's view and then have an informed decision by an independent inquiry. So that is expected to take 6 months. Meanwhile, there are allegations that the police force is going from bad to worse. Crime is going at the worst levels as possible. And what do we do in the interim? Will Gwade Mantashe do something? Will Feroz Kachala do something? Those are the questions that are coming up with that issue. Then MK is coming in opportunistically and wanting to do a no confidence. And the DA is saying, no way, they're going to support it. So the GNU might be able to protect the president from this motion of no confidence. And then the GA obviously is saying that the DA is actually saying that the GNU is functioning effectively. Both the parties are meeting each other. So perhaps you want to comment on these three scenarios. Firstly, with the Mkwanazi issue, you got about 12 minutes. And in between, I will ask a few questions. And then the issue of the motion of no confidence. And then the GNU, is it really functioning effectively? So you've got a bit of time, maybe 4 minutes each to cover the different aspects. And then we'll continue after the news break.
Let's start from sort of the last statement to the first, and that is
the functioning of the GNU.
Is the GNU, well, former President Jacob Zuma has taken the pronouncement or the pronunciation or the statement of GNU to court. I think it's sitting at the Supreme Court of Appeal. The question is it a GNU or is it a coalition government? In terms of legal jurisprudence, it's not a government of national unity. It's a government of coalition.
That's Zuma's argument.
That's Zuma's argument, but he's correct. Because if you look at the Constitution of 1994, that was crafted in 1990, leading up to the first 5 years of the first government. The government of national unity is a government that is formed only in the event of a crisis.
So there's no voting taking place as such. It was basically just the different parties got together and formed a government.
That's why they coalesce.
Right.
That's where you get the word coalition from. So it's a coalesce of different political groupings with maybe not the same ideology, but their intent or their motive was to keep the MK party out. And most of them have what we call crossover funders. So you'll find that most of the funders are funding most of them.
Crossover members and funders.
Yeah. So because the MK is a very strong, at the time, Africanist. So the strategy was the ANC dropped to 40. They don't have a majority. They need 51.
So when they moved across, they took their support as well.
Who?
The MK.
Yeah. Now I'll read you the number, right? I'll read you the number, and these are the numbers. 2019, the ANC had 230 seats at 57%. 2024, the ANC went down to 159, 40%. The DA went from 84 to 87. The EFF went from 44 to 58. Okay? In 2024. Now, I think these are combinations of both what the old Senate, which is now the NCOP. MK went from 0 to 58%, 58 seats, which is 14%. In fact, my apologies, the EFF went from 44 to 39. So the EFF was the MK was the biggest winner in these elections of 2024. So nobody's got a majority. In order for any one party to govern, it's impossible. So what you got to do, you got to juggle. You got to try and find what we call a happy medium.
So they call it a government of national unity because there were various other parties that joined.
Well, let's rephrase it. It's an expression. It's a government of national unity. It's syntax. I mean, who cares whether it's a government of representativity, government of unity?
So the ANC, obviously, when they took the decision, they were not the majority. But in the GNU, they will be the majority, and this is why they call it kind of calling the shots. But the DA is nudging them every now so often to ensure that they deal with challenges that the government have been facing.
Let's put it to you this way. So this is what listeners are eager, or listeners have an appetite for. Because politics is a very liquid, evolving, dynamic, and has a lot of people like the robustness to it, because by its nature, it's not conflict, but it's confrontative. In other words, it has that. It's all about views. One ideology to another, who's better, who's not.
And it is important what we're doing today is to assess the performance of the GNU,
Absolutely.
the functioning, to work out, are they surviving and are they having a difference in people's lives and in terms of the economic setup. Is the economy improving? Because obviously the West is watching how the GNU performs, particularly with recent reports coming through from USA where Trump is saying that he's threatening to take action or sanctions against certain ANC ministers who made some adverse comments. And obviously South Africa's support. That is another subject for another day.
Yeah.
So what we're looking at, we've got 2 minutes just before we have a break and then we'll continue with the discussion, is that Zuma challenged and how far has that gone?
Can I just conclude in a few utterances on the issue of what is purportedly this GNU? Firstly, there is no stability economically. More companies will be closing. We ain't seen nothing yet. There's a statement put out by the Reserve Bank governor that interest rates will increase. Right? So interest rates are on the horizon. 2, the tariffs instituted by Donald J. Trump will kick in from the 1st of August, which is next week. Mercedes-Benz is on the verge of closure because they were reliant on the American automotive. Obviously, the Eastern Cape was reliant on imports or exports to the States. 2, we were exporting just citrus alone out of the Western Cape. We were exporting about 1.8 billion rand. That economy is going to hemorrhage. 3, we export huge amounts of steel, in particular aluminium, out of Pietermaritzburg to the US. That's where Tongaat Hewlett used to make its money. And every time the rand slid, more money came in, and these guys made more money out of exchange more than out of productivity. So South Africa is in a quagmire, and we're heading for very, very rocky road ahead, very rough waters.
Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take a break for the news. But before I take the break, I want to leave a couple of questions for our listeners to ponder over, to which our guests in the studio will respond to. Is there an alternative to the GNU? Because obviously Zuma is raising issues. tariffs 1st August increase, is it because of the GNU? Is it because of other reasons? Economic impact? We're going to have our economist coming in and let's hear his views. But Steenhuisen, what did he say about the party? He says the leader delivered us the 9 wasted years that we are currently trying to clean the mess up from. So that leader now is commenting on something that he caused. Come back to News in Focus Live on Radio Al-Ansar International, broadcasting on the frequency Durban 90.4 FM, Peter Marsburg 105.6 FM, and streaming on www.alansar.org.za. Before the news break, we were chatting with Samuel Kennedy on a couple of issues that are topical. One is the issue of Mkonazi inquest and updates. Then MK files motion of no confidence on Ramaphosa. What are the really underlying reasons for that? And then the status report on the functioning of the GNU. Samuel mentioned various issues, and he says from an economic perspective, it really hasn't benefited the country. I asked the question, is there an alternative to the GNU? And the answer appears to be no, especially from the ANC's perspective. The tariffs, the 1st August, that was for other reasons, not necessarily the GNU. In fact, John Steenhuisen went out and with the support of a few other individuals, he tried to convince Trump that, listen, South Africa is not as bad. Rupert also was indicating so. And the economic reaction, we noticed that the currency rand has gone to its lowest level for a long time. And the share index is almost reaching 100,000, which has never happened before. So our economist, Hassan Mutala, is present, and he will unpack that a little bit further. But Samuel, I just want you to give us your comments relating to Mkonazi's request and an update, and how do you see this thing panning out? And MK files, what is the purpose of them filing this no confidence? They said it's not political, it's for other reasons, but obviously it would appear as though it's politically motivated.
Well, thank you, Eunice. Well, 58 seats out of 400, you want to file a motion of no confidence. Just numerically, rationally, logically, will you garner 201 seats in order to remove a sitting president? I don't think that's possible.
So what is the purpose?
The views and opinions expressed by the...
Sorry?
Are they making a statement?
Well, I think the MK is very clear. They've been very clear from the commencement of this 7th administration that their number one target is Cyril Ramaphosa. For reasons everybody knows, between former President Zuma and Cyril Ramaphosa.
It's his last term of office, both as the president of the ANC and the country. So he's obviously a dying breed, and he's preparing somebody that's complicit with him to take over. So maybe they're attacking that.
No, I think that there's a number of issues. One is, let's call a spade a spade. Ramaphosa is complicit. There hasn't been adequate, acceptable, reasonable, rational responses on Phala. That's number one. So even if he does leave and completes or fulfills his term, that will still be hanging over his head on the Phala matter, because...
So if there's a new president that don't favor him, he may bring that up.
No, absolutely.
So he's going to prepare somebody that will protect him.
Well, that's if the ANC is still in government. Two, the issue with apart from Phala is CR17. There's a big, it's gone to court, it's gone to High Court, it's gone to Supreme Court of Appeal, where the EFF and now the MK are asking for who were the donors of CR17, and there's a lot of speculation. Some of it linked to Bidvest, some of it linked to Bosasa, some of it linked to a whole lot of people, where the allegations, Zuma made it public that he had bought his way, and in 2022, I think it is, he bought his way as well. So there's a lot of sort of Damocles hanging on his head. Whether the MK garners 201 seats to assist. I think they're aiming for, and it's a good strategy, they're aiming to split the ANC because they know that half the ANC don't want Cyril. So that's the situation. But let me just say with MK, this is the issue I have with MK. I think they're the right noisemakers. I think the DA, its biggest mistake was to be government. They were better opposition. They appear to be enjoying the spoils of government, cabinet ministers, media exposure, prestige, power, status, and so consequentially, there isn't any opposition. With no disrespect to MK, I think MK is catching up with the new chief whip Colleen Makubele. But South Africans want to see more dynamism, more opposition, not reading statements, more bold debates in terms of taking on the GNU, so to speak.
Now, I mentioned Steenhuisen is saying that the leader delivered us the 9 wasted years that we are currently trying to clean the mess up from.
But he's talking nonsense.
That leader now, it's a known fact, that leader now is saying, I'm going to clean up South Africa when you wasted 9 years with your cronies. Now, the people who are listening are saying, who caused the mess? Now, Ramaphosa, obviously being a capitalist, is trying to sort out a difficult situation. And obviously, South Africa cannot function on its own. They import, they export. And obviously, with this tariff adjustment, it's having an impact on, as you said, jobs. A lot of people are going to lose jobs because America now is tightening. Whether, they deliberately doing it or not is another question. But Sam, before I bring in Hassan, because he's an economist, he's been studying the markets, whether the DA is a Zionist party or the enemy of the country, obviously their intention is to start cleaning up and have a better life for the people. We don't want to refer to Western Cape because definitely Western Cape is way ahead of other provinces, whether we deny it or not. But I just want you to bring up an important part about the Nkwazi issue, because what is being reported now is that SAPs have been supporting political cadres and they're doing favors, and this is why nothing is being done about the maladministration and corruption. And we've seen videos coming through of these cops sitting in their offices eating KFC and building up bodies, and then other areas of government like the defense force, there's clips coming through that they don't even have a decent missile. And if somebody attacks South Africa, whether these guys got the strength and ability to defend. So we've got parties that are claiming corruption on the other side, yet they were part of the government and did nothing to improve. In fact, they caused it. Perhaps you just want to just relate to what we're talking about. In Nkwazi now, as a commissioner in KwaZulu-Natal, complaining about the state of security in South Africa, particularly in KZN, where Zuma's stronghold is. And on the other side, you've got MK demanding a vote of no confidence on Ramaphosa, yet the world has some kind of reliance on Ramaphosa. I'm giving you 5 minutes.
Yeah, can I just say the following? I had to go and do a fika today, and I happened to bump into a retired, very senior, very, very senior police officer. Very senior. And he gave me, we got to know each other, and he gave me one example, which was just two days ago. SAPS launched a big, what do you call it, Hassan, when they swoop in Inanda. They hit the schools, they hit the taverns, 21st of the school opening, or 22nd, whatever it is. And guess what? They found Zippo, 0. Do you know why? Because the information was leaked that there's going to be a swoop. And who leaked the information? Who leaks information? If it's coming from the police department, who else is leaking it? It's guys that are linked in the police services to the underworld, right? It's happening the same in the Western Cape. It's happening in Gauteng. And it's happening in KZN, the three main centers of economic power in South Africa. You know, and I know that if you get stopped in a roadblock, you can, with no money talks, you can pay your way out, dockets get lost, blood stuff gets mislaid. Anything is possible in South Africa. And that's the sad state of affairs. So I want to say the following. John Steenhuisen is talking through both sides of his mouth. The 9 wasted years includes Cyril Ramaphosa. He was the deputy president of the Republic of South Africa. So the oxymoron is to say, on the one hand, Jacob Zuma is responsible for 9 wasted years, and the other hand say, but his lieutenant is the guy who's delivering. I mean, it's nonsense. So to put everything into perspective, we have
when they asked Cyril that question, he says, my hands were tied because this was ruling with the iron fist.
No, but he's talking nonsense.
And he said, and believe it, that if I did or uttered something in opposition, I would be sacked. So I had to go with it until such time they removed the soap.
So what he's saying indirectly is he was there for the position. He didn't want to be sacked.
Well, he was there to bring to the notice of the electorate, this is what your former president did. This is why he was removed from office before the expiry of his term of office. And, it was run in a mafia style. And, Zuma, suddenly he got up, he decided Praveen Gordhan is going on an economic trip to the UK. And there was some issue about SARS and, whatever was the problem there. And he called him back and he told him, you just reached there, come back. And he fired him. And you know what that did to the rand. And,
but didn't Cyril just do that 2 days ago?
No, but what I'm saying,
last week,
the point I'm making is we cannot justify the poor leadership of JZ. At the end of the day, whether Cyril is implicated is another issue, but depending on the circumstances. But what Mkhwanazi is saying is that this has been ongoing for a number of years, and whether he's a Zuma ally or not is another question. But he's now getting frustrated because he doesn't want to be implicated if there's problems in the police force that's discovered later. So I want you to wrap up because I want to bring Hassan in.
No,
Sam,
I appreciate it.
As far as you are concerned, you're saying that, listen, the various political parties have got their own challenges. The GNU is not what people think it is. The GNU hasn't been responsible for the improvement of the economy in the country as we speak. I want to bring in Hassan. Hassan, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. You heard Sam talking about the different issues from a different angle. I threw in a few red herrings in between. Now,